Hi guys, Mike here. On my last video, we punched out these 3 bearing retainers for my surface grinder. And one of the comments I got from Greg Brown was the importance of calculating the tonnage when you contemplate building a die, or if you're quoting a die for a customer. So I wanted to show you the formula that I use for calculating tonnage. So here's the formula right here. PSI equals the length of the cut times 1/3 of the thickness times the shear strength of the material. And in our case, we had a rectangular pierce punch that was 0.65 by 0.39. So plugging that in, we have 0.65 times 2 plus 0.39 times 2, and that gives you a result of 2.08. Then up here, 1/3 of the thickness. Our thickness was 0.094, and the 1/3 is, if you recall, I mentioned that the punch penetrates about 1/3 of the thickness, and that's where the break occurs. So after about 1/3, the pressure drops off to 0, and so it's only cutting for that top third of the material thickness. So you have 0.3 times 0.094 equals 0.028. So going further, you have 0.08 times 0.028 times 15,000, which I use for the strength of the shear strength of the material, the micarta, which is actually aluminum. I think the shear strength of micarta is actually 13,000, but I used 15 just for safety's sake. So 2.08 times 0.028 times 15,000 is 873.6 pounds of force to drive that pierce punch through the die, through the material into the die. So to convert that to tonnage, I took the 873.6 divided by 2,000 is 0.437 tons. So less than a half a ton required. I have a 12-ton hydraulic arbor press, so I was in good shape. So that's just kind of a quick check to make sure that you're not exceeding your tonnage capabilities. So I hope that you found that valuable. That might come in handy someday for some project that you're doing. So let's get going on putting this surface grinder back together. We're working on a table, getting it ready, and I've got these little 632, well, maybe they may be 832s, screws, button head screws with Allen heads in them, and I've got a couple of them here I'm having trouble getting out. I can feel the head starting to strip, so what we're going to do is take a little prick punch and see if we can persuade that a little bit. And I hope I can do this and have you be able to see what I'm doing. First, in the side of it, I'm giving a little divot, and then we'll give it a little torque here and see what happens. Nothing so far. There we go. I don't know if you can see that starting to turn. I might be able to get the Allen wrench in it now. Yeah, there we go. And that's one of the ways you can get these small screws out. The button head screws as well as socket or set screws the heads of them strips. Oh, easy. It really is a kind of a poor method. I'm gonna go down to this one now and see. Let's see if we can. Let me get you refocused. Now we'll work on this one. This is in a really nasty place. It's back in the corner there, but well, we'll try the. I put some liquid wrench on there, penetrating oil, but of course that's not going to do anything. It never does. Nope, not going to come out. So we'll leave the head intact enough to where if I can get it loose, we can still use the set screw or the Allen wrench to get that out of there. First we put the divot in there and give it a crack. Oop, there she goes. Okay, good. That one was an easy one. All right. Come on, little guy. There we go. Okay, that one really cooperated with us. So I need to get some new button head screws there. Now we can take this guard off of here, and I'll show you. You can see how screwed up it is. Now somebody's had this grinder apart, and I can tell they were rather ham-handed, and well, I should cut them some slack. Maybe they didn't have the experience, but you have to be so careful, and you know, with a surface grinder you just can't slam and bang this thing together. Okay, so that's off. That's all I wanted to show you here on this segment. So on to the next. I just wanted to give you a glimpse of the bearing retainers that we made, and here's where they go, and we've got the bearings in place, and you see the two went on the V-ways, and the single with the double row of bearings went on the flat, and I think that's going to work out pretty well. So the trick is going to be when we put the table on to put it on without knocking these bearings out of place, because they're just held in place by gravity. But everything seems to be rolling free, and I think that's going to work out pretty well. Now the other thing is I did break down and buy the drive belt from Leland Gifford, but this is ready to hook up to the table. We've got it threaded down through, and you see it drives off this main gear here, which the wheel will be here. So if we follow this through, this is the gear that drives off the hand wheel, which drives this gear, which drives this notched pulley, which drives the belts. These two are just idler pulleys. So they're all ready to go. Everything fit. That's always a good thing. So like I say, this is ready to hook up to the end of the table. Alright, boys, we're getting closer. Well, this morning we set this table up on the grinder, and we have a couple of issues here we have to sort out. I see that this guard right here, this barrier, dust barrier, is rubbing here. You can see the scrape marks on that, and so I have to sort that out. I can't get this back off. This just mounts on the table with button head screws. I can't get it back off without taking the whole table off. I'd rather not do that. If that rubs too hard, it'll put a bias on the table towards the back, which puts a bias load on the V-ways that the rollers are riding in. So I can't have that. So I don't know if I can bend that. That's almost like tempered steel. It doesn't seem to be too bad in the front, but maybe what I'll do is hook the drive belt up and try it out a little bit and see how it works. I do have a few more parts to mount on here. There's some end baskets that go on both sides that aren't on there now. And missing a hand wheel here I have to put on. So we're getting a lot closer. These are the little lift devices that I made here to rig this thing for putting it up there. So, okay, so we're getting closer, and I think I'm going to end this one right now. Hope you all had a happy New Year's Eve, and I look forward to a really good 2020. Till next time, this is Mike, signing out. $3.